Hello, everyone. Good evening. Thanks for showing up tonight. Um, we might have a few more people log on, but we're going to get started. And for those of you who don't know me, I'm Debbie Schwartz. I'm the founder of Road to College and the Paying for College 101 Facebook group. And tonight we're going to talk a little bit about merit scholarships, but also really about a new report which we created and kind of walk you through the report and how it might be helpful. And also I'm going to show you uh, our platform insights, which has all the information that the report uses. So if you want to dig deeper, that's where you can go for more information. But before we get started, I would love to know who's here. You can put in the chat where you're watching from, what year in high school your student is in, and really kind of maybe like one thing that's on your mind as it relates to college admissions. Um, this is actually a little bit more of a free form tonight. I'm going to show you some stuff, but I'm not going to walk through slides. May not, we're not going to spend a lot of time on a webinar tonight. But I'm actually here to answer questions. So if you've got questions about anything, it doesn't even have to be about the topic tonight. Feel free to ask them. I hopefully will have answers, but if I don't, I will, follow up with you. Um, but just wanted to share with everyone, how we're going to run tonight, just looking at what people are putting in the chat. So most people are class of 2027, so your student is a junior. I see a few 2028, so your student is a sophomore. I'm assuming, because this is what tends to happen, that most people here also it's the first time it's your oldest that might be going through college admission. But if you happen to be a veteran of the process, let me know as well, because I'm always kind of curious how you think things have changed. I have three kids, and there was a 6 year difference between my oldest and the youngest. And during that 6 years, which you wouldn't, I think, like in years past, a 6 year difference might not have made as big of a deal, but in the 6 years that my kids, my oldest and my youngest, applied to college, there were huge differences. I mean, part of that was my youngest got caught in the pandemic, so the whole change from test required to test optional was part of that change. Another major change, which seems to happen now every 5 years or so, was my oldest was caught in a major revision of the Common App. So her year, literally the day that the early admissions was due, it was October 31st. The Common App was falling apart. It was crashing. So that happened to her. And I think in my middle daughter, there was changes to the SAT. So you could see how like every few years there's something. There's so many variables that there's something that's changing that makes it different than it was, even just a few years before that. So anyhow, thank you everybody for putting in where you're from. So, I guess my other quick question, if a few of you just want to answer, is did anybody try out our, we're calling it the College Comparison Report? Um, it would be helpful for you to know. I'm going to share my screen now and show you how you request one, not very difficult, and kind of give you, and then we'll walk through what one looks like. So let me just move over my chat so I can see that if you guys ask any questions. Okay. Oh, yes, it was depressing because everything is so expensive. I hear you. Definitely depressing, but I'd rather you know it now than kind of start to see what these prices are like when your student gets offers back. And well, unfortunately, that happens. So if one or two people can just put like a thumbs up in the chat to see, are you seeing my screen that says, actually, I gotta put it back to the beginning, um, where you can get the college comparison report. I can go through, somebody's asking about the real college offers, crowdsourced by families. I will go through that. So ask away if there's something you want me to show. Um, Somebody's asking, this is recorded. Let me just double check that it's being recorded. Um, Pretty sure. Yes, this is being recorded, and we send the link out to the recording the next day. Okay. I'm very interested in Vanderbilt. Okay, fine. We'll look at Vanderbilt. So if you go to and I'll just put the URL in the chat. Um, so we created this report because we've realized that the Insights platform can be overwhelming to some people. There's just a lot of information. They don't really know how to do the searches. They don't know how to interpret the information. So what we decided to do is to kind of summarize what we feel are the important pieces of data, which I usually always point people to when I show them how to use Insights, and put it into a report, make it easier for you to select 3 colleges, and then more visually quickly be able to see the important information next to each other for 3 colleges. So that's why we created the report. So let me go through and show you. Pretty simple. Pick your colleges. You can put in any names of a college. We actually just fixed our search. You can put in like nicknames of colleges and hopefully it will work. I'm going to put in Worcester Polytechnic Institute, WPI. I'm going to put in Penn State so you can see a university. And then, wait, let me see. Oh, okay. And then another school, Widener. I actually already created the report just so I don't have to wait for it to be created. So you pick your 3 schools. We ask for your year of high school graduation because, in all honesty, it helps us in our database know to invite you to the right events. We do a lot. We kind of do the whole gamut of events from, what is SAI, how to fill out the FAFSA, CSS profile, things about merit scholarship. We do events for seniors. We're going to start to do about how do you appeal your financial aid award. And then we do a ton about loans. So we're going to want to make sure that we're inviting the right group of parents to the right topic. So that's why we ask you for your year of high school graduation. I'm just going to put in 2027. Then obviously this is pretty basic. Your first and last name. Got to separate that. And then your email. And that's because we send you the report in an email. That way you have something to always go back to. So you have the link in the email. So because honestly, we aren't saving the links, and it's not, if you don't have an account, you don't have some place to kind of go look for those links. So you can always go back to your email. And then you press generate your report, and then it's telling you that you'll get the email. And this is right down here if you want to copy the URL and hopefully share this with other friends or people at your school if they want to do these comparison reports. Okay, very simple. And then, so you'll get your email and then you'll click on the link and you'll see a report like this. It will be these 3 schools, or you can actually do it with 1 school, you can do it with 2 schools, just the max is 3. And let me walk you through the information. We put information about merit scholarships on top because that's actually, we think it's really important, and that's generally our audience. Our audience, our families, which probably are people like that are here tonight, are families that you kind of, I don't know if you've heard this term, you fall into the donut hole. So you probably make too much that you're not going to receive, or you make enough that you're not going to, not, nobody makes too much. You make enough that you're not going to receive need-based financial aid, but you don't have enough saved, which very, very, very few of us ever do, that you can pay for college in full without any assistance. So you're in that middle, and you're not going to get need-based aid. You're not going to get like help from the government, except loans. So the only way, the most strategic way that you can reduce your cost of college is by finding a college that's going to offer your student a merit scholarship. And I'm going to repeat this a few times because people always say, well, what about private scholarships? My kid can apply. And I always hear there's all these private scholarships that go unclaimed. I have nothing against private scholarships. Your students should try at some point if they want to apply for private scholarships, but I like to play the 80-20 rule. I like to be able to spend my time where I'm going to get the biggest return. And the largest scholarship that a student's going to receive is going to come from the college that that student attends. So yes, your student can win private scholarships. Private scholarships tend to be much smaller. Honestly, you'll be lucky if your student gets a $1,000 scholarship. Majority of them are in the $500 to $2,000 range. Yes, you'll hear that there are some students that cover their full cost of tuition by receiving private scholarships, but those are the edge cases. There are very, very few of those. And the other downside of private scholarships are that your student's going to have to go through that process every year. They're usually one and done. Your student wins them one year. That's great. But that doesn't mean that you still have to, they have to, or you have to figure out how you're going to cover that cost the following year or the next year. So it's just, it's a lot of work. This whole process is a lot of work. I just, again, would rather spend my time doing work where I'm going to get a bigger return. And the work I'm talking about tonight is going to be researching the right college. You need to know which colleges offer the merit scholarships, and then you need to know, is my student a good candidate? Is it likely that my student would get a merit scholarship? And then the third piece is, assuming my student gets a merit scholarship, what's the net cost going to be to me? And is that net cost still within my college budget? So that's the research that should be happening now with your student in 10th grade and 11th grade. And going back to the comment of the person saying, oh, it was depressing to see the costs. I agree, it's depressing. But again, it's better to see them now, and then you can figure out some other game plans, or maybe you have to adjust your budget, or maybe you have to say, hey, we can't go for the types of schools that we might have put into the report or we've started to research. We're going to have to look for a different tier of school that fits our budget. So if you do all of that research and talking now, you have the time to pivot and readjust, what you're looking for, as opposed to, and believe me, this happens every year. I've been doing this for like 10 years or more. Families don't start really researching until August, September, October, and then they get really nervous. There's a lot of emotion in this process. They say, okay, I'm just going to let my kid apply to, where they really like, and I'm not sure if we can afford it, but we'll figure it out afterwards. Don't do that. Don't do we don't know if we can afford it, we'll figure out after they get the award. It's you just have eliminated so many options, and you just put yourself in a bad financial situation. Okay, so let me continue with the report. That's why we focus so much on merit awards. So this first line about is the merit from this school, is it above average, generous, moderate? This is an analysis that we did of all colleges that offer merit. We looked at the whole database, and we put them into different buckets. I think we did it into quartiles to say, is this, so basically an above average range is a college that offers 12,000, a little over 12,000 to $24,000 in merit. A very generous school is a school that offers more than $24,000 in merit. And then a moderate school is a school that offers between, like let's say around $4,000 to $12,000 in merit. So these are categories that we made, but based on all the colleges in the U.S. that offer merit, and it was last year's um, information of the average merit scholarships that they offered. So again, this was just to give a very quick visual sense of where does this particular college fall on the generosity spectrum of offering merit. So WPI is above average. Um, and we'll walk through all of this. Widener is very generous. They're offering, more than the 24,000, which is, kind of starts that generous category. And then Penn State, not surprising, it's a public university. They don't tend to give out a lot of generous merit awards. A lot of public universities don't even give out anything. And so it's not surprising that they would fall into the moderate category. And then there are schools, which I should have done one, which if you were to put in here, it would show up that they offer no merit. So, we highlight that as well. So the information in this section comes from two or two places of data. One source of the data is from something called the Common Data Set. Just out of curiosity, if people want to put in the chat, are you familiar with the term Common Data Set or not? And I can also talk more about the Common Data Set and dig into that. And then the other source of information is, okay, good, love the comments, love the CDS, good, glad people like it. Okay, Sandra, you're not familiar with the Common Data Set, so you're going to get a little bit familiar tonight, and I'll dig in a little bit more about it. But let me just say, if you're a family on here and you are not familiar with the Common Data Set, make yourself familiar with it. And I'm going to show you a sample, and strongly encourage everybody to look at any school that your student is considering, to look at the Common Data Set. So this line item that says college reported average is directly from the Common Data Set. It is the information that the school reports in their Common Data Set. So if you were to look up WPI's Common Data Set, this is what you would see under Section H. I forget what line item it is, but where they report average merit award to students without aid. Okay, so WPI, the college is saying we offer on average students who do not have need-based aid, we give them a little under $23,000. Now, these other two fields or lines are from data that we collect. So somebody asked earlier, they're curious to see, they want to see the crowdsourced parent data or family data. So I would say, I can't even remember how many years, definitely 5 years, maybe even longer than that, 6. We've been crowdsourcing families' offers. Honestly, the first year when we first started doing it, we were the only place that did it. There's a few more places now that have started to do it, but at that we just did it with a Google form and then shared the information in a Google sheet. That was as basic as we did it. And then we've gotten a little bit more sophisticated over the years. Now we have a nicer interface. People can share their offers. And so if you're a family and when your student is a senior, it's another platform that we have that's up here in the menu called Compare Offers. And you can enter your students' offers. There's two parts to the platform. You can first see all of your offers in one place, and that's pretty helpful for some people to just compare all of their offers, amongst themselves. And then for each offer that you've submitted, you could go see other students' offers from the same college anonymously. So you can start to gauge, hey, did the money that my student was offered, does that line up with what other students were offered that look similar to my student? So, and then we take that crowdsourced data and then we put it into our insights platform. So for younger families to look at that as well. And so that's what we base this information on here. So for WPI, we have a range of what parents have shared with us, And then that range, it goes from 23,000 to 38,000. So there, always might be a student that got a lot more, maybe, and I haven't looked it up, but maybe WPI has like a presidential scholarship where they're giving out, like really high awards to um, high stat students. So not unusual to see this type of a range. And let me see what we have up our footnote here. Merit aid ranges are based on offers that families submitted to Road to College compare offers. Um, okay, yeah. So this is I can double check on this, but I'm pretty sure we only looked at, for the purpose of this report, offers that were submitted in the past 2 years because we didn't want to go back too far because as I started off this conversation, things change. So, but I will double check that. But I assume that this is offers from the past 2 years of what families have shared with us. And then we just average that number out. So you can see our average is slightly higher than what the college is reporting. And sometimes you do see that in that the college might, have an average that they're reporting in their common data set. And then actually, as the awards come in, they sometimes can be a little higher, sometimes can be a little lower. But, of the families that reported the information to us, the average was a little higher. Okay, so just if you kind of like keep that in mind as you look at the other information here, similar with Widener, their college reported average was about 35,000. That somewhat falls within the range of what our parents reported, but our average of what parents reported to us was a little higher. And then if you were to dig in, if you wanted to really look at these numbers, you'd have to go to the Insights platform and you'd have to honestly have a paid account. But if you wanted to look at these specific offers, which maybe we'll do after this, you might have a clue as to why some of these students got higher amounts. It could be when you look at their GPAs or you look at their test scores, clearly their test scores were way above, the 75th percentile or the average for that college. So that's why the students who were sharing their offers with us, that they were on the higher side. And again, if you look at Penn State, not surprising, this range of 500 to 10,000 encompasses both families that have in-state students and out-of-state students. We combine them together. So in-state students at Penn State honestly tend to get nothing. So, or maybe they get 500, so that's the low end. And out-of-state students tend to get maybe between 5,000 to 10,000. They're paying out-of-state tuition, even with the moderate merit award of 5 to 10,000, their net cost is still going to be higher than an in-state student. So this is just really good, quick glance information without you having to deal with insights and doing filters and looking at a lot of other information. This kind of narrows it down much more quickly for people. And then we, of course, added, again, back to the person's first comment about the costs. We wanted to, we can't hide costs, so we share what the cost of attendance is. And for those who aren't familiar, cost of attendance is what I would call the sticker price. It's the most a family's going to pay at that college. It's like all-in pricing. It's the tuition, it's room and board, it's any fees. In some cases, it's health insurance. In other cases, it could be an estimate for travel costs and books and just daily living expenses. So that's the highest. And then we broke out, in-state versus out-of-state for state schools. And then this estimate is an estimate after merit, if a student were to receive a merit scholarship award. It's honestly not brain surgery type of math. We just take the cost of attendance and we subtracted, in this case, we just subtract the college reported average just to be on the safer side. And this is the estimated cost after merit. And going back to the comment about doing your research, if your student is in the academic range, who's likely to get merit, and we'll talk about that in a minute, then a school like WPI, which has a sticker price of 82,000, could come down to 57,000 for you. Or Widener, who is in that generous category, could come down to 35,000. I am not saying that these are still reasonable prices, but at least you have a better sense of what it can cost you. And if none of these are in your price range, well, I mean, now you have to just kind of like keep researching and if you get the insights database, I'll show you how you can do that research, and then you have to just find. Well, I need to find a college maybe with that starts off with a lower cost of attendance, but is still generous. So maybe their cost of attendance starts, or their cost of attendance is 60,000, and they're giving, you know, 30,000 or $35,000 average merit awards. So you can see how there are different levers that you're going to need to play with. If the college starts out less expensive, sometimes they're still being generous, and then obviously your net costs can be lower. Or you just might have to find a school that has just a significantly lower cost of attendance, whether or not they give merit scholarships or not. So, but at least you're not going in blind into the process. At least if your student applies to WPI and that they could get merit, that's where your number should fall out. I guess the thing I want to emphasize is that a lot of times people say, well, I don't know what it's going to cost me. So I'm just going to let them apply. You can estimate. I'm showing you how to estimate. You should know these numbers before you allow your student to do the applications. In addition, you should go to the college website and also run their net price calculator. See how their net price calculator lines up with some of the estimates. They probably are going to be somewhat close unless you're also getting need-based aid. Okay, so now the other piece of knowing whether your student is eligible or has a high likelihood of getting merit is how do their academics stack up against the schools, what the school has as their various ranges. The reality is that most of the academics that are used, most of the stats are still the SAT and ACT. Some schools will list GPA, then you have to be careful and just know, are they listed a weighted GPA or an unweighted GPA? Most of the time, they're going to list an unweighted GPA because there's so many different ways that schools and high schools weight these days. So you're going to need to take your students' unweighted GPA and compare it against whatever the college has listed as their unweighted GPA for merit scholarship purposes. But what you're going to find in the common data set, if you pull them up, and when I'll show you, is that a lot of schools just don't share GPA information in the common data set. And it's kind of frustrating because you're trying to figure out like how does your student stack up academically, and they're not giving you the stats to do that comparison. It has frustrated me for a very long time that colleges don't give the data that is necessary to do good research. I once talked to a dean about it, and she, gave me an explanation that it's just so hard with so many different grading scales that they deal with that for them to normalize their data. I could have understood that in the past, but I'm going to say that now, maybe with AI, they don't have that excuse. So maybe going forward, they could more easily standardize the data and show us their GPA ranges. So I would like to see that. But just throwing that out because you're going to find that in a lot of common data sets, you're not going to see GPA information. I'm a little surprised. I have to look up why WPI isn't sharing their SAT ranges because most colleges do. Um, and but to understand if your student is has a high likelihood of getting a merit scholarship, then their test scores, ACT or SAT, should be in what we call the 75th percentile or above. So that's the top quartile of test scores of students that end up enrolling at that college. So that's what colleges are using merit scholarships for, basically to discount their tuition, but also to attract a stronger academic student to their school. So if they can say, hey, our 75th percentile for ACT is a 32. So, we're going to give money to that student who has a 32 or higher that wants to apply to our school. And we may give some money to a student that is the average, like 30, but we're going to give more money to the student who is stronger academically because we want them to come, because if they come, then it raises, our profile. And if we can attract a lot of students with a higher test score range, then our ranking will hopefully go up. So that's the very basics of the game. And then down here, we just give you some basic information. Honestly, you could probably get this in a lot of places, but we just share it so that you can easily compare the three colleges. This is the overall acceptance rate, how large the school is. Here's the average GPA, 4-year graduation rate, which I'm going to tell you, believe it or not, is not an easy piece of information to get. Not all data sources share the 4-year graduation because the government only requires that a college puts on their website the 6-year graduation rate. So whenever you're looking at graduation rate, always make sure if there's some sort of labeling that tells you whether it's 4-year or 6-year. A 6-year graduation rate is going to look a lot more favorable when colleges share that. But I don't know about you. I assume we all feel the same way. I don't want my student graduating in 6 years because I'm not paying those 2 extra years. I want them graduating in 4 years. I might even want them to try and graduate in 3 years. So, and let me just tell you, if your student graduates in 5 years or in 6 years, those extra years, even if they got merit scholarships for the first 4 years, they will not get merit scholarships. Those merit scholarships will not apply in years 5 and 6. So that 5th and 6th year becomes tremendously more expensive. So you want to be looking at 4-year graduation rates. And then freshman retention rate just means how many sophomores ended up coming back who were there as freshmen. So you want to see, a high number. 94 is great, 93 is great. 78 is probably about average. I think 80 is about average. So, and anything that's lower, you would start to question like, what happened? People, like, students came, and then for a lot of reasons they didn't want to return. So that would be a red sign for me. Okay, so that's this report, and hopefully it just kind of gives you like a quick idea of how all the important stats of a college, and then how like 3 colleges might rank against each other. So let me quickly show a common data set, and then I'm going to show you insights where we can do much more research and filtering. So somebody said, anybody want to put out the name of a college that they want to see a common data set for? I usually use Tulane, but I'm open to using any particular college. William and Mary, sure. Let's put in William and Mary. Okay. So this is what you should do for any college you're interested in. Just put in their name, William and Mary, and then put in the words common data set. And that should bring you to the page on the college's website. The common data sets are put together by the office you can see here called institutional research. So you're probably going to see that term as well. So let's pull it up. And then yeah, I was thought that this would happen. So a lot of colleges show you, look, I mean, wow, William and Mary is pretty extensive. They're showing you like almost 20 years worth of common data sets. You don't have to go back that far, but this is pretty typical. Usually a college will show you at least the last 5 years of a common data set. Let me just explain to you what the years mean, 2025, 2026. So that is the actual, but well, actually, let's pull this up. We can, oh, they're going to make me download this. Okay, I guess we'll download it and then we'll pull it up. Usually they just open up a web page with it. Okay, I'm going to have to stop sharing and share my Excel. So let me stop sharing for a second and reshare. Okay, so can people just tell me if they're seeing my Excel? Just want to make sure you're looking. I have too many windows open. Make sure you're looking at the right windows. Okay, good, thanks. Okay, so these guys, put it put it in Excel, and you can see at the bottom here that there's different sections to the common data set. I am not going to go through all sections because there's a lot. But so they put it in different tabs at the bottom. So let's just start with let's see, section A. Um, and so going back to that the years 2025, 2026. So this whole common data set covers the students who started in the fall of 2025. 2025, 2026 is the academic year that this common data set covers. So it's going to show you like the students who enrolled, but they enrolled this fall. It's going to show you the um, uh, average awards, the financial aid for the students who enrolled of 2025. But the thing to keep in mind is for the students who enrolled in the class of 2025, it means that they applied to school in 2024 to 2025. Okay, so they started school in the fall of 2024, but they went through the admissions process during the fall of 2024 to the spring of 2025. So the admissions data that you see here is from that time frame. And so I only bring that up is because we're starting to get admissions data now, right? So there were students who went through early decision, and we're seeing some of those results. That information is not going to be in the common data set because that's going to be in next year's common data set. But that shouldn't deter you from using the data here. It's still really valuable. And you don't really see tons of swings in data from year to year. You might see it over a 5-year period, but you're not going to see it that much one year to the next. Okay, so lots of data here. Let's just go through. I think section B will probably show you, yep. You know what? Sorry, let me enlarge this. Probably a little hard to see. Okay. This will section B shows you how many students have actually enrolled, how many are male versus female, how many undergraduate versus graduate. This information could be helpful, particularly depending on if you want your student to go to a school that is mainly undergraduate focused as opposed to has a lot of graduate students, or vice versa. But this is where you'd find that information. And male versus female these days at some schools, it's it swings one way versus the other. So usually when I show Tulane, they have a really high female enrollment. And so if you're a male applying to Tulane, that might give you a little extra boost in the admissions process because they're trying to always increase the male population to get it closer to the female. And honestly, we can see the same thing here. I'm looking for the first time, William and Mary too. Obviously, they look like they have a much higher female population to males. Okay, and so that's that section. This section also shows ethnicity. So just, valuable information depending on what you're looking for. Here, this next section is, this is more admission information. So you can see here, just to kind of reiterate what I said before, all this information here is based on the number of degree-seeking first-time, first-year students who applied, were admitted, and enrolled in the fall of 2025. So all this data is based on who enrolled this fall of 2025. So of the people who enrolled in 2025, there were 6,300 males who actually applied, a little over 10,000 females who applied, and then 2,500 of the males were admitted, 3,600 of the females were admitted, and then of those, 647 males decided to actually enroll, and 991 females decided to enroll. So that's where all those stats come with about overall admission and admission breakdown between male versus female. If you look a little further, there's information about the wait list. Obviously, this is only going to be relevant if your student is ever put on the wait list, but you can look back and say, hey, in previous years, did it look like they were taking students off of the wait list, and how many students did they actually take? So this is where you would go get that information. They just talk about the different classes that are required to apply. This section, we actually also have this section in Insights. I kind of find it interesting. It's called the admission factors, and it's a little bit of a clue for what the admissions office is telling you is important to them. Obviously, these guys are stressing a lot of things are important. The rigor of your student's academic, high school record, the class rank, which is a little unusual because so many places don't even offer a class rank now. But I guess what they're saying is if your high school is showing a class rank, they feel that that's important. The GPA is important. The essay is important. The recommendations are important. But you can see that William & Mary is saying that the standardized test scores are not that important. I haven't looked. I'm going to guess that they're test optional. So they're saying that they're considered, but they're not in the top two categories of what's important. You will see, this is a very important line to check. You will see at schools that say that they are test optional, and they truly are test optional, they might put that standardized tests are important to them. So even though they're claiming it's test optional, if they're saying that it's important, it's saying that they're going to look at them, and if your student provides them, they're going to put some weight on them. So somebody's saying, so if I read this CDS correctly, standardized test scores are not important, but they are for merit. Yes. So that's a really good question to ask. Usually, a lot of schools are still using test scores to provide merit scholarships. It doesn't mean that if your student applies test optional, they have no chance of getting merit. But it's a cloudy area, and it's definitely a question your students should ask the admissions officers if you go on a tour, if they come to your student's high school, and just say, how important are test scores for merit? Because I want to make sure that I'm going to be offered merit scholarships. Some places will say that the test score is optional if you're just applying, but it's required for merit. Other schools will say, we will still look at your application regardless of whether or not a student, if they submit a test scores, and we'll consider it for merit. This is actually where the data in our database kind of gives you a clue, because at some schools where we have a lot of data, you'll see that there's hardly anybody who got merit who didn't submit a test score. Again, these are just clues. Unfortunately, there's a lot of opaqueness in this process, but definitely ask the admissions office as many questions as you want. They may not always give you all the answers, but you should definitely ask. Okay, so this is an interesting section and definitely worth looking at. Oh, here's one more line item to make a note of. It says here, level of applicant's interest. Another phrase that you might heard of is called demonstrated interest. So William & Mary is saying demonstrated interest, it's considered, but it's kind of low down. At some schools, demonstrated interest is higher up, and it's important. So if a school has demonstrated interest in the important section, I would make sure your student does some level of demonstrated interest. It doesn't mean you have to visit and go on a tour. It does mean that maybe they need to open emails, because in the age in which we're in, colleges are definitely seeing what emails are getting opened and clicked on. So I would do that. It could mean that your student attended the information session if they came to your student's school. It could mean that your student just wrote them an email. You wrote the admission officer who's in charge of their region an email. So find some way of showing demonstrated interest if it's important to the college. Okay, I'm going to keep jumping just to show you. I'm going to go to section H because section H is where the financial information is. But you can see there's a lot of information in these common data sets. So this is the section that talks about how much money the college provides to families that have need and families that don't have need in the form of merit scholarships. So, oh, that's right. It's in section H2, H2A. I think actually, sorry, up here. Nope. Okay, sorry, I'm scrolling around. Um, so very interesting. I gotta tell you that these were all blank. So which is not, I mean, this is kind of unusual. I don't know why William and Mary would have published their common data set without filling out all this information because this is the good juicy stuff. The only reason that I'm guessing that they might have published they might have put this out but not filled this information out is that they just aren't actually done with their common data set. I have to say that a college publishing their common data set is in January is definitely on the early side. Most colleges don't start publishing it until March, and the majority of them don't start publishing them, make them public until like June or July. So it could be that William and Mary had some of the information available, and so they just put it out, but they didn't have all of it, and that's why this is blank. So, but section H, we'll just like find the title is where you find information like it says uh, how many students applied for need-based aid, how many students were found to have financial need, and then how many students were actually given need-based aid. So that's these lines A, B, and C. And then the other line down here is, if I want to make this a little larger, is section 2A, line um, line N is how many students without financial need actually got merit scholarships. And then line O is what was the average merit scholarship award given to a student that did not have need. So this is like where the information comes from, which we use a lot. So hope that was helpful. Didn't know what we were going to get, but I didn't know that William and Mary wasn't going to have all this information, but at least you got to see what a common data set looks like. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing this, and now I'm going to go to our insights database so that you can see what type of research you can do there. So let me share again. Okay, and for those who want to create an account here, you can create a free account. You can see some of the information that I'm going to show you tonight, but you can't see all of the information unless you have a paid account. You can't do all the type of filtering that I'm going to do unless you have a paid account. So this is insights. This is the dashboard. This My Road section here are just articles that we put in based on whether you're a junior or a sophomore. I think I have in my record that I'm a senior. You can create lots of different lists and you can name them. So this is where you can find all your saved lists. When it's time for your student to actually apply, you can kind of flag, these are the schools my student is applying to, and then just kind of keep track of those applications. And we show you the requirements just for those applications. So it's just an easier way of just focusing on what you need to get done. And then when your student actually has offers, you can put in the offers and then compare those. We also have a pretty extensive library of videos on all the different topics that we talked about. We do provide one-on-one services, like if you need it in lots of individual areas. We do a lot of work helping students just on essays. We do actually another great service we have, we call it a Common App coaching or Common App review, and we will just focus on the Common App. And when your student gets to the point of needing to fill it out, it can feel a little, you're not quite sure if they're filling it out properly. And anyhow, so that's like a service we do. But let me get to the research part. So this is going to be a table of tons of data. This is the data we used to create that report that we showed. And just so you know, that report, you do not need to create an account. You just need to give us your email so we can send you the email with the link. But this is tons of data, right? For 3,925 colleges. Okay. And there's lots of different ways that you can search this data. We've got these filters. You can filter on any column that's in this table. What we put up here are just the default filters. This is what most people use. But if you go down to the bottom, it says add filter. And these are the names of all of the columns. And you can add any of these filters to the one above if there's something that you want to filter by. So actually, let me just pick, I'm going to pick the ACT 75th percentile as a filter. Because maybe my student has an ACT of 30, right? So I want to find schools that are between, let's say, a 29 and a 31, where those are the 75th percentile for those schools. And then I want to also find and make sure that, well, actually, let's just do that first. I'm going to apply that filter. So we had 3,925 colleges. By just saying, show me the colleges where a 29 to a 31 is the 75th percentile, we're down to 228 colleges. So whew, you can see a ton of colleges got pushed to the side, and now we're just focusing on 228 of those colleges. But some of those colleges might offer merit and some might not. Some of them might be higher than what I can pay, even if I got merit. So now we can do a further filter. So now I'm going to go back to the filter, which it's going to keep my filter of the 75th percentile of 29 to 31. Now, maybe I want to say, we have the column, the net cost after merit. What if I want to make sure that my net cost after merit is less than or equal to, I'm going to say 45,000. I have no idea what's going to show up. Okay, and let's apply that. Okay, well, cut it in half. I went from 228 schools to 102. Okay, now, I mean, I could do another filter, you know, but now I might want to look at these 102 colleges. And I can sort any of these columns by ascending or descending. So, but let's go to the column. I'm going to just do a quick find that has the word merit in it. So here's the column that says freshmen without need receiving merit. So this is the percentage of the students who did not have any financial need, but they still got merit. Because there's some schools that, quote, give out merit, but they're only giving it to like 5% of the students. So your student might be one of those students, but it's just going to be a little harder if they're only giving it to a small percentage of students. So we have 102 colleges here. Let's sort them for this column. Actually, let's go the other way. I want to see the colleges that are giving a lot of merit to most students. So you're going to see there are a few numbers here, like how can a school give to 200% of the students or 129? We use the data. This is the data that is provided by the colleges on their common data set, and we just do some math with it. So what this means that Holy Family University, which I don't know anything about, honestly, never heard of that college, probably put in wrong information in their common data set. That's just a little bit unfortunate that there's no checking on the common data set. It's whatever the college provides to the public. There's no fact checking unless you run into problems like this. And if it was a really important college, we might call up Holy Family University and say, hey, something's not right because the numbers you gave us, when we did the math, they didn't come out right. But the reality is that they probably are giving 100% of their students a merit scholarship, it's kind of like in those schools that you might hear people talk about them as like a Kohl's discount because there are schools that set their sticker price kind of high and then they end up giving everybody a discount. So that's just kind of part of how the game is played. But if you look down here, Beloit College, actually, that's you might have heard of it. It's a good college, and they give everybody a merit scholarship. But the range of what they give might vary depending on the student's academics. But you can see here for Beloit that their, oh, here it is. Their cost of attendance is about 80,000. They give about 44,000 in merit scholarship. And so their net cost is 35,000. So that's why it showed up on this list because I said I wanted to find a school with a net cost of 45,000 or lower. And Beloit meets my students' academic criteria in terms of putting them at the top, and it's meeting my financial criteria. So now, if this is, I was making a college list, I would dig in further on Beloit. I would go to their website. I would understand their majors and all of that type of stuff. Because the research that we're talking about now is just almost like it's like kind of what I would call top of the funnel. It is just, do these colleges meet important frontline factors? Can my student get in? Are they likely to get merit scholarship? And after merit scholarship, does this college fit my budget? Now I can look at all the other pieces of, is this going to be a good college for my student? A lot of times for a very long time, families would do that type of criteria at the end. They would start off, who has the best major, which is important, of course, or who has the highest prestige. And then they would create these college lists and never apply any sort of filtering of can I afford to send my student to that college? And you just honestly, as you know, as the first person said it, you can't do that in this day and age. So somebody said, I'm going to clear all my filters. I think somebody was interested in looking at, let me scroll back. They wanted to see the parent, oh, Vanderbilt, Vanderbilt. So let's look at Vanderbilt. And you see there is this field called, or column called crowdsource offers. I can pull it up here and I'll show you this. But I'm also, so we can look at it this way, but I'll show you another place where you can look at it. If you click on Vanderbilt itself, it's going to pull up the college detail page. And then if you go to aid and merit scholarships, you'll also have that information down here on crowdsource offers. So for Vanderbilt, because it's still early in the season for getting offers, we don't have any offers for this current season. So I guess we didn't, we just haven't gotten anything yet. But so we can look at last year's. Okay, so last year we got 9 offers for Vanderbilt. This is the type of information we collect when we ask families to share their information or share their offers. We want to know kind of what SAI range your family was in. This just gives us an idea to say, is this a family that was never going to get any need-based aid, or maybe this is a family that might have gotten need-based aid depending on the school. So for Vanderbilt, I don't know their financial aid policy offhand, but I'm pretty sure that they might give need-based aid. So a family that, has an SAI of 25,000 to 30,000 probably should have gotten some need. Obviously, you can see this family under 15,000, their SAI, they got a big chunk of need-based aid. So that's why we ask for that information. Obviously, it's good to know what state families are from. That helps both if we're in-state and out-of-state, but also you might see that some colleges are giving students from, a faraway state, they might be getting merit because maybe a college is trying to draw more students, from different parts of the country. Here's the GPA information. And then if the student submitted their ACT or SAT, that information is shared here. And then you can go back another year if you wanted to kind of look, oh, that's interesting. We got the same number of offers that year. So this is, oh, 2022, 23, we got 28 offers. So you can, go back to all these different years, look at the information. I kind of say that this information is directional. I wouldn't make a decision based on this information, but you might start to see trends on this information. For schools where we have a lot of offers, like the bigger schools, um, like Penn State, like Susquehanna, we have because they're pretty generous with merit. Those schools, I would feel more comfortable you making a decision if you just wanted to look at the crowdsourced data because we have a lot of offers from those types of schools. Okay, actually the hour went fast. Let me kind of look through these questions, um, and let me just say, so this information that I showed you is with a paid account. You can purchase a monthly subscription, or we give a discount if you do annual. And you know, monthly you could decide how I'm only going to do research for the next 2 months. You can sign up and then just cancel after 2 months. That's fine. If you sign up for the annual deal that we offer, usually it's at this level called premium, and we also have monthly webinars with a dean of admission who's like really super knowledgeable, obviously, about the whole financial aid and admissions process. And so we have a topic for every month, and she does a presentation and answers questions. And then with the higher level membership, you also get a discount if you end up deciding to do any one-on-one services with us. So, and oh, I should say, with the paid membership at any level, you get unlimited number of reports. If you want to run the college comparison report, you can do it unlimited number of times. Um, Otherwise, you can only do it once. It's free for one time. But if you pay, and again, you might just want to do that for like 1 month, and then you can run as many reports as you want. Okay, let me go back. So somebody's asking, will emails be shared with third parties? We have partners. We never share emails unless once in a while we might do a webinar, and that webinar, is with a partner. And if that in that case emails are shared, it is on the registration form. But other than that, we never share information. Um, we work with partners really so that they can support our webinars and that they can bring experts to the webinars. And a lot of the partners bring experts who talk about a little bit more on the financing side and on the student loan side. Let's see what other questions there are. Is there a hash mark for parent reported range and parent reported averages for college? Does that mean there's no data? Yes. So if you might have run a report and there was no data in a field, or there was this a slash, it means that and in that case, we might not have gotten any parent reported information. But it also goes back to, and I'm going to confirm that the parent ranges and the parent averages that we're showing on the report are just for the past, it might even be the past year, but I think it's the past 2 years. It doesn't mean we might have data at that college from parents from further years back, but we might just not have it for the most recent years. Um, does the database have information about colleges that offer full tuition or half tuition? Actually, good question. Um, I think we have a field that shows whether or not the college offers a full tuition scholarships. Oops, let me find that column. Yeah. Nope, wait, one more. Here it is. Full tuition or full ride scholarship. So if there's a icon of a link, then we link you to the page on the college's website that shares the details about their full ride or full tuition scholarships. So I'm not sure you can actually filter by it, but what you can do is actually sort this column, and then all the colleges that might have a full tuition or full ride scholarship would fall to the top, and you could kind of look at those links. So somebody's saying, where can you access this tool? I will put it again in the chat. This is insights.roadtocollege.com is the URL. You can go create a free account, and you can sign up monthly or for annual, and you'll get access to all of the data that I've been showing. So there will be, if you guys want to wait, I think we might not send it out to tomorrow. Maybe I can get it out right after this session. We do have a promo discount for if you want to sign up for an annual plan. We usually try and give, particularly in this time of the year, a discount for people to sign up for annual. But the discount won't apply for monthly. How does cost of living by state factor into need-based aid? Unfortunately, it does not. Um, Definitely a pain point for a lot of people. The government has a formula, which is the FAFSA formula, and it just does not take into account cost of living and how it varies state by state. SAT and ACT scores can also be used in lieu of AP exam scores for advanced placement at many universities, which include, yes, this person is correct. Thank you, Chris, for saying that. Let's see, any other questions that I might have missed? Let's see. I think I might have gotten them all. Okay, so hopefully this was helpful. Thank you for the people who are still here. An hour goes by fast, even though I didn't even really show that many slides. And if you choose to try Insights or you try the comparison report and you have questions, always feel free to reach out. You can email me at debbie@roadtocollege.com or at support@roadtocollege.com. And then just be promo sent to email for first year plan. You know what? If you guys want to hold on, I will look up right now what the code is for the. Hold on. Let me look it up. Um, okay. Oh, we don't have it put together yet. Okay, sorry about this. I will try and find it as soon as we get off this um, webinar and email it out. Let me do it that way too, because honestly, in our email, then we'll give you the link directly to the correct payment page where you can enter in the promo. So there will be a promo code, and hopefully you'll get it this evening, or if not, tomorrow. Okay, thanks everybody. Reach out if you've got any questions, but get started researching. It's really important to understand those costs and merit scholarships. Good night.